Taxes on Off the Top Rope. Never been done before. If you ask your boy Ty Asbury, pretty interesting. And if I can think of taxes and pro wrestling, my live guest on Off the Top Rope Thursday, presented by SixPackCoverage.com, Taryn from accounting, Star from Nation Extreme Wrestling, WrestleCore, the list goes on and on and on. She's all about taxes, but most importantly, she's all about domination in pro wrestling. She joins your boy Ty Asbury Off the Top Rope Thursday night, sizzling, live, and as always, coming your way.
The Ropes Media. Tyrod Asbury. Yeah. Tyrod Asbury. Yeah. Every chance you get to hear us, you clear us. It's the time on the radio. My opinion's my opinion. Every time you hear me down, moving out, later on the stereo.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It is Thursday night. If you got the sizzle, of course, you're watching Off the Top Rope. And first and foremost, I got my taxes done. So I'm sure she's happy about that. From Nation Extreme Wrestling, we got, of course, WrestleCore, Taryn from accounting. She's in the house tonight on Off the Top Rope Live, presented by SixPackCoverage.com. Taryn, what is up?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
It's an honor to have you on the show. And I've been doing my notes and research, what you're doing up in Canada, wrestling, just kicking ass, taking names. And it's an honor to have you on the show. And first and foremost, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. It was a crazy day. It's St. Patrick's Day, so lots going on. Just waiting to go have a green beer.
No, don't get me started beer, because when you mentioned beer, you should have brought a beer on the show. I mean, six-pack coverage, that's the thing about the beer. So, you could have brought a beer to the show, but like I said, have a beer for me definitely when the show wraps up. But
I will.
Most importantly, this is your first ever appearance on Off the Top Rope, and how you feeling about that?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's
Now,
going to be a lot of fun.
I got to ask first and foremost. Now, when I look at a wrestler, it's always think of like what they do, their names are. Now, you've probably been asked this question 900 times. How did the whole thing accounting, like, I'm sure you get asked all the time, but I'm gonna give it a little twist. As of late, do you still get asked about it? Like, oh, it's so creative, I love it. Like, how often do you get asked about your name being taxes and just, I love it. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, yeah, you'll have to apologize for my dog. He likes it too. Let me get the peanut butter. I always have my jar of peanut butter, and oh, here he comes. You heard it. Yeah, I get asked all the time. I think because it's so different and unique, and that's kind of what I was looking for when I first started wrestling. I was wrestling for a company, and they were quite old school, and luckily I was a lot older when I started wrestling, so I could really not put my foot down, but really say like, I'm not comfortable with that, or that's not for me. Because it was a lot of like sexy, sinister, this, or, like stuff like that. Like female to like what old school wrestlers want from like a female wrestler, So yeah, luckily I was able to say like, no, I'm going to kind of come up with my own gimmick, and I'm going to do it myself. And I'm a silly person, like, naturally. So I wanted something that was just like completely different. And yeah, like unforgettable. And yeah.
I really like how you worded that, what you said, because it seems like wrestling back then, it had been like somebody dealing with taxes. It had been like a guy. That's how it was back in the day. But I think it's all about how women in general, the women evolution of wrestling has blossomed. And, now women, and back then women could be, tax collectors and everything. So I think you really hit the nail on the head where you're like, hey, man, they can do taxes and so can women, and I'm gonna take this and put this in the wrestling. If that makes sense, that's the way I take it. And if that's the case, I think it's a really cool thing that you've done something different, because no wrestling fan wants to see the same old character, you know.
Yeah, or no character. There's so many wrestlers, like, and that's fine, like, but just a little bit of personality is nice.
Yeah. Now, I like you said that you could be. I always say you said you could be like a goofy sense of humor type of person. I've always said that you can't laugh at yourself. You have to. And in wrestling, I love that there could be some really great comedy in wrestling. Have you ever had
Mhm.
where something's really funny has happened to you, or you did something funny that wasn't supposed to happen? You were like, oh shit, and maybe you just had a good laugh at that.
Oh, like in the ring?
Yeah.
Oh, like all the time. It's nice to like go back and laugh, but I'm still like a fairly new well, I'm a very new wrestler. I've only been wrestling for like maybe 3 years, a little over 3 years. So like in matches and stuff, like I used to just be so like focused on the match and the moves and like what's gonna happen next. But like lately now I'm like able to like calm down in the ring and like actually enjoy the things that are going on, have interactions with fans and like, yeah, enjoy it more in the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of funny things happen. I had a match last weekend. It was like a 4-on-4 tag, and I got to tag with some like really good friends, and it was just hilarious. Like we got to have some really good laughs, and I didn't know what was going on, so I was just kind of like, what's going on? And yeah, it's like it's nice to have friends to do that with in the ring who aren't gonna like take everything so seriously.
I think when you're wrestling for 3 years doing your thing, and I'm very proud that you're doing what you're doing, and like you definitely keep it up and collecting those taxes in wrestling. Do you think if like somebody who's been in wrestling for like 3 years, do you think it's happened to people where like they've gotten every 3 years and they just want to do wrestling because they just want to do it, or it's just like for you was that passion like always there because people do it because the passion's there, or they're just like, I'll try it out and see what happens. Yeah, once you hit that match, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly what happened to me. Like I didn't start wrestling till I was like into my 30s. And I loved wrestling growing up. Obviously, it's what we all say, but I did. And I never thought of it as something that I could do. I was never like athletic. I was never sporty. I was never like driven to do anything. I went to university and I got a job and I just kind of did that. And I traveled. I traveled a lot, living overseas and stuff, but I never had like a passion like this. And I kind of saw like, oh, like really anybody can become a wrestler. There's all types of wrestlers, like all body types, all genders, like everything. And so I just kind of thought like they can be wrestlers, I can be a wrestler, like let's just try it. I forced myself to like go to my first mini camp and like instantly hooked. It was so much fun. And then like ever since then it's just been like I've never felt such a drive. Like I've never felt like I wanted to achieve anything more. And like I don't even really want to achieve anything in wrestling. Like my goal is not to get to the WWE or AEW, like, but I do want to be better all the time and I want to be better than everybody else. And that probably will never happen. I'll never be the best wrestler, but I want to. There's so much more than like moves and being able to like being super athletic. Like it's almost like a game, like just trying to like level up and like it the more I do it, the more passionate I become about it and just like wanting to like be a better wrestler and like be the best wrestler.
That I gotta say that really hit as far as hard work and just believing in yourself and like giving young wrestlers, aspiring wrestlers who want to be wrestlers, you can do this. And really like hit my heart because you said you don't want to go to WWE, AEW. You just want to just wrestle and just doing what you're doing. I just love it, no matter what matter ends up happening with your wrestling career. But that really hit my heart because like you just want to just get better and continue wrestling, no matter where it is, and that's a really cool thing. I hope people watch the show live and listen to what Taryn is saying. She's the one to definitely get motivation from because I never really heard that what you said. Because a lot of people I've had on the show, they say, that the pinnacle is AEW, WWE, but you're just like, I just want to be me and just kick ass and just wrestle, and that's really something that people hearing you say this on the show to really take notes of that and really take it to the heart because I definitely did. I was like, man, so thank you for that.
Thanks. My TED Talk is actually after this, so.
Okay. You said the main thing. I haven't done it because of COVID traveling, and I want to go on a plane so freaking bad.
I know.
If you traveled to so many places, have you traveled to an area where like wrestling wasn't as big or they didn't have it at all? And you said, man, if wrestling came to this area, it'd probably be really like hot and sizzling. Have you ever been to a place where wrestling like could maybe like dress up a place that you travel to?
I mean, I lived in the Middle East for 4 years and like they love wrestling there and like WWE goes there once a year. I lived in Abu Dhabi and WWE goes there once a year and it's like wild. Like so many people show up and they're so into it. I think if there was like training, like proper training and wrestling there and like I think it would be so cool there. I think it would have like a completely different element, but I think the Middle East would like really pop off with wrestling.
Now, you've traveled all over, and we all know we all travel. We're gonna eat. It don't matter where you go. You want to just have some good old fashioned food. Now, if you can go back to traveling, even throw wrestling in there, what's your favorite place you probably traveled to and the food was so good and you're like, next time I go back and wrestle, I got to come back?
The best food, I don't know, like Thailand, they had really good food, but like for like wrestling, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'll go eat anywhere. I love food. I'll eat anywhere. The Middle East had great food.
Now, the biggest thing of all about this episode tonight of the show, everybody's watching live. I said, all your fans that you have, you're gonna get more fans after the show. What do you want your fans to get from this episode once you leave the show tonight? Maybe things that they don't know about you, or just what's one thing you really want to put in the heads of your fans after you leave the ropes tonight?
Like I just really want my fans to know that like I work really, really, really hard to do what we do. And, like I still see it as like an honor and a pleasure to just be able to like wrestle in front of them. And just the fact that anybody even knows who I am out of my like immediate circle, I just like, it is so humbling. And I think it's so amazing that there's like people who love wrestling and independent wrestling and like small time, Legion wrestling, and they show up every single week and they're cheering or booing and just playing their part, like being able to talk to them afterwards and like have a nice hug or whatever. But then you like 10 minutes ago, they're flipping me off and yelling at me. Like it's such a fun experience getting to like interact with the fans in like so many different ways. And like, I just love it. It's such a fun community. And like, I just recently got on Twitter very late to the game. But it's so fun. Like people are so passionate and they spend so much of their time like thinking about us, and like that's such a cool thing. And I get it. I'm a fan of a lot of people too, and I spend a lot of my time thinking about them, probably too much about the Real Housewives if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's just like it's really humbling and awesome. But like Yeah, I just want them to know that like I really, really, really work hard just so that they feel part of the show and that they know that like just doing my best, like always.
Now, when you, of course, you talked about in the independence scene, indie wrestling, and I think indie wrestling. Sometimes I think you can leave, the big, like WWE, AEW, and find really good indie wrestling.
Hmm.
If you could look at indie wrestling, what do you think is the one positive thing about indie wrestling today that's really taken off about indie wrestling today? Because I see a lot of great indie shows all over social media.
Um, I think I think social media has definitely helped indie wrestling. It's, you can work for yourself and be busy and be your own, you know, booker, and you don't need somebody any as much as you used to probably. Um, and also I think like indie wrestling just offers more diversity and more like opportunities for people like me, like when I watch wrestling, again, the thing that got me hooked into wanting to be a wrestler was seeing just regular people wrestle. Like I loved watching WWE, obviously. Like it's fun and that's like the pinnacle of, I guess for some people, like that's it. Those are the world's best wrestlers. But I think now that we're seeing more independent wrestling, like I don't know if that's true anymore because there are some amazing wrestlers and diverse wrestlers, and we get like different kinds of shows, like, you know, Effie's big gay wrestling show, or, like more people are being seen and you're able to see yourself more in other wrestlers. Like there's so much diversity. Like if you don't relate to that guy, there's going to be somebody coming out of that curtain who you'll be like, oh, damn, I like that guy. Like he reminds me of myself, or, you know, I think it's more fun. It's more DIY. It's more rock and roll, like,
Rock and roll.
which is what indie wrestling should be. It should just be like, you know, people having fun and people just throwing stuff together. It's awesome to be professional. And like, I work for some really professional companies, but, at the end of the day, I just feel like indie wrestling should just be rock and roll.
It seems like too that's really helped indie wrestling is like back then. In order to have a successful wrestling promotion, you had to have TV. Now with all the streaming services, I
Hmm.
think indie promotions are taking advantage of that and getting hooked
Yeah.
up with a streaming service and having their product being streamed all over the world. And I think that's what's helping, out too. I mean, no matter where you're located, and that's really helping as well. I would think.
Oh, absolutely. Like social media, from what I've learned in my short time on Twitter, is like that's how you become successful. Like as an indie wrestler, like you're nobody if nobody knows who you are. You're not going to really like go very many places, which is fine. Like I know lots of people who just want to wrestle on the weekends in front of their family, and that's awesome. Like again, wrestling is for everybody. Um, but like if you want to make some waves and you want to make some moves, like social media is so important, and you have to be engaging, and you have to like people want to know what's going on, like, and they want to know like a little bit about you, and it's fun, but it takes up a lot of my time.
Well, I think. Are you like you're doing everything, work, wrestling, training, traveling, busting people in the head with beers. Just kidding.
That's later.
Yes, later on. Do you like being busy, or it just happens where it's just like, man, but that's just the nature of my daily groove. Like, how are you just a naturally pretty much inclined to like being busy?
I never was, no, like I would just go to work and chill at home. But since I started wrestling, like I'm so busy, like you said, with like training, shows, traveling, work,
Yeah,
um, my dog, like
yeah.
everything. Um, but I think it's kind of funny. It's so cliche, but when people say like, if it's something you're passionate about, which I'm so passionate about wrestling, like I'm tired, but I don't feel like it's not a burden. It's like it's something that I love to do. So like, yeah, I'm busy, but I'd rather be busy doing this and having the fun that I'm having and meeting the people I'm meeting than, well rested on the couch. What have I achieved?
Yeah, here on the show, I want to tell everybody right now, if you want to be successful, work hard, and stay busy, this lady right here is the perfect role model for that. She is live tonight here off the top rope. Taryn from accounting. She is to me Canada's hottest wrestler today. Like I said, she's doing her thing. So as always, here on the ropes, on the comment section, if you want to ask her a question, ask her about coming matches, the comment section here on the show is always open. So ask her any question that you have in mind, and even ask her, how many beers she going to be, for St. Patty's Day today. So ask her anything you want to. So now, 3 years, like to me, that's very like cool. 3 years, you're doing your thing in wrestling, and I would think if you're probably a wrestler for 3 years, I'm sure, do you still get like a lot of, I guess you could say, encouragement, feedback? I'm sure it's very helpful feedback for you, but like how often, I'm sure, do you get that? And I'm sure, does that fuel your adrenaline to keep getting better?
Like feedback, you mean like after mostly every one of my matches, I wrestle like very often with my trainer. We're on the same shows together, and um, so I pretty much make him watch as many of my matches as possible, and just get his feedback. And he's like phenomenal. Um, so yeah, I make sure he gives me all the feedback, and then I make sure to always ask like the wrestlers that I'm wrestling, and 9 times out of 10, or a lot of the times, if I'm wrestling somebody new, they are my vet or a vet. So I'm like always asking for feedback because we train a lot, a lot, a lot. We train, but until you're like in the match and like
Yeah.
things happen differently than when you're training. So it's like really good for me to get as much feedback as I can, or just, even other people who like other wrestlers who might have been watching the show. Like I always try to get something out of them, and like, because it's just like the best way to learn.
Now, as a wrestler, what do you think? What's the difference from the Taryn 3 years ago to the Taryn that I'm talking to tonight? Because I know you've grown and really, make a name for yourself. What would be the difference between the two from yesterday to tonight on St. Patty's Day?
Honestly, like I think it's night and day, and like, you know, uh, I will remain humble, but I've put in a lot of work, and I have like one of the best trainers, Michael Richard Blaze, who's like pushed us from the beginning. And like it's such a compliment when I see like myself and other wrestlers who I train with go out, and like hearing people say like, like how hard we work and how like our training shows, I guess. Um, so it's just like it's nice to see that like training hard pays off.
Yeah,
Um, I'm a different wrestler. I'm a different person. I'm way more confident. I just like, and I'm more driven now than I was then because I can see like progress.
is in wrestling. I guess it depends on who the talent is. Of course, yeah, you got to have confidence in a lot of things. And in wrestling, can you have too much confidence, low confidence, or just enough? Because you don't want to be too confident and go out there and you know not go too great. So I guess, does that depend on who the person is as far as confidence level in wrestling?
You know what? I don't know. I really don't know. I know for myself, like I've gained so much confidence in the past like couple years since I started wrestling. Like I never had confidence like this before. Um, but I don't know if you can have too much confidence as a wrestler. Like, you know, I don't know if it's like the worst thing to be. It's good to be confident. I don't know. I think, not to get too much into it, but I think like sometimes as a woman, it's hard to be confident because you're seen as like being like really stuck up or like standoffish or whatever. And, guys can get away with being cocky, I think, more. Um, but I think confidence is like really important to have as a wrestler because like nobody's going to buy it if you don't buy it. Like if you're not believing the shit you're selling, nobody's going to buy it.
Right. Yeah, and I would think being a wrestler, it's all about being you, and you got to be confident in you, be able to go through that curtain and pull shit off. And you really explained it perfectly. You got to be confident in yourself and be you.
Yeah. I don't know if you can have too much confidence. Those people maybe are not the best people you want around all the time, but I don't know. Maybe they're really good in the ring and like fake it till you make it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not the I don't know.
Now, I saw a match and I was like, man, she definitely has to tell me what happened and everything. Now, I'm sure when you see this match, you can be like, yeah, I could definitely put some sizzle on it and tell you about what happened. Now, this match, when I watch this match, I like watching clips of matches, and I'm sure you know these two ladies very well. And I thought it was supposed to be a four-way match, and I was like, well, what happened to the other competitor? So um, I've been wanting to ask you about this match, and I was like, I'm about sure once she sees it, she's like, yeah, I can probably break it down what happened. It ended up turning into a triple threat match, what I've seen. So, people who, of course, saw this match, and I love to know your opinion on this match, and pretty much break it down about, these two ladies and about this night.
Yeah, well, that is Zoe Sager. She's my tag partner in this match, or she was supposed to be, but and we were supposed to wrestle against Bambi and Liza Hall, their sisters. Excuse me. And Liza, something happened with Liza. I can't remember, something with travel or something. And so Bambi was just like, okay, well, let's just we'll do this triple threat match. And Zoe was like all gung ho for it for whatever reason. And I don't understand why she became like so tight with her all of a sudden. Like, I'm loving it. Let's do this. So
There's the
I was
sass
pissed.
right there. I saw when you came out. I was like, yeah, there's the sass right there. But I saw this match, and it turned out to be a really great match. And I think sometimes I think it's a really cool thing to have like twists and turns in matches where fans gonna be like, oh, this is gonna turn into a triple threat match. And I watched, the match. I really enjoyed it, and job well done by three of you making fans be like, they took something and just made the three of them, and a home run.
Yeah, it ended up working out really well for me because I won that match. But no, it ended up working really well. Bambi is like a vet in wrestling and in Canadian wrestling and in like women's wrestling. I've been hearing her name since I started. So I was so excited to finally get to wrestle her. It was really, really cool. And Zoe and I trained together, and it was just like a really like special moment to get to bring like what we do here to a different crowd. So it was cool. It was such a fun match, and the reception and like the feedback on it was really, really good. So successful all around for those girls. But
now, of course, you've brought like a really tremendous amount of talent, everything to these two promotions that you compete for. You compete for right now, and between the two promotions, of course, Nation Extreme Wrestling and Wrestle Core. Probably you had to pick one positive thing about each. What would that be for each promotion, and what do you feel you bring to each one of these promotions?
Um, Man, they're both just so cool. Like, New is the most professional place I've ever worked for ever. Like any job ever. They're so professional. They're so nice. They really, I think, respect the talent there. And there is so much talent there. Like everybody there is top tier of like Canadian wrestling, period. Um, and like Nicole Matthews is there, Bambi Hall, like Liza Hall, Cat Power. Like it's such an amazing roster of people to wrestle. And like Judas Icarus is like, I've been watching him for a long time and he's like so good. The whole roster is so good. I love working for New. And I just love the professionalism. I love the production. Um, it's an amazing company to work for. And they're like making waves. They just started, like, they're on their sixth show and they're like huge. So it's like, it's really nice to be part of that company. I think it's amazing. And WrestleCore, same thing, little bit more rock and roll, a little bit more DIY, but like the talent is there. Um, the promoter is there. He's got so much experience. He's got like amazing, he's like flies in amazing wrestlers and it's so much fun. And I get to wrestle with my friends and I get to, be part of something that's like just starting to rise up as well. And they've got such a library of cool rock and roll shows. Like before they started WrestleCore, it was like Rickshaw Wrestling, and they would do kind of like every 3 months, every 4 months. Uh, like they would do like a lucha libre show, and they would fly in a bunch of wrestlers from like Mexico, and everything's like kind of themed. Or they would do like horror on Hastings, so it's like a horror movie themed, and like all your entrances are different, and like you don't even really wrestle as yourself usually. Like you're like given a character, or like what's another one? Oh, there's so much. Dropkick 3000 is always like kind of like a futuristic little bit of like like sci-fi, this and that. It's just so much. So you get to like always play different characters at that show. And Cobra Kai is like the promoter, and Calamity Kate. And they just do such a good job. They take care of their wrestlers, and they just have like a different vision for what wrestling could be. And
Now,
it's really cool.
you talked about Dropkick Your 3000, and you must have had a blast about that because before we came, we were getting the show together and everything. You talked about that, and I think that's a really cool name, Dropkick 3000, and that must have been a blast. It must have been a hit because you said, "Ty, I really want to talk about that." So, like, taken away from that, how badass was it?
Yeah, it was like really cool. It was like the first time for WrestleCore or like Rickshaw Wrestling that they could have full capacity since the pandemic, since the start of the pandemic. And I think everybody was just like so excited to be out, and just like really fun matches. They had like a tuxedo death match, which whatever that means, but they did it and it was really, really cool. And Anton got his shoulder dislocated, and he's such a like animal. He's going around the crowd yelling at people like, "Put my shoulder back in. Who can put my like?" A lot of people would be like, "Match over, let's go." But he was just like, "Pop it in, let's go. I've got like this tuxedo death match to finish." And yeah, Zicky Dice was there, and they sliced off his foreskin with a card, with like a playing card, and the other guy ate it. Just like fun things. They had like a red light, green light match. They had a Matrix match, which was like super, super funny and super cool. And Calamity Kate was like the Trinity fighting off all the Agent Smiths. It was good. And it was the first time I got to wrestle Cat Power, which was like, since before I started wrestling, I would go to these rickshaw wrestling shows. And I would watch Cat Power and I'd be like, that's the kind of wrestler I want to be. And when I become a wrestler, I want to wrestle her. So it was like a pretty big deal for me to get to wrestle her.
That's like really cool. Like I really have to see if you can share it on your social media, red light, green light match. Like I want to see that because it's like I've never heard of that as a fan. Like I think wrestling when you do something different, I think fans are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. And you guys are doing that. I mean, you're just creating all these different type of matches, and that's going to get some social media attention and just in the wrestling community.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just interesting. It's different. It's, and people want to see it. And the best thing about that crowd is like they're not particularly wrestling fans. Like there are lots of wrestling fans that go to it, but a lot of the people that go are not people that would go to like an indie wrestling show. But it's just like a fun, interesting production and party.
Now, this part of the show, Taryn, is where I stump all my guests on this segment here on Off the Top Rope. I call this segment "Damn Ty, That Is Good." You ready for the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you can take something that describes you the most, take that and create your own very wrestling match, how would you do that?
Okay, say that again. Take something that describes me the most.
Something that describes you the most and try to put that into creating your very own like wrestling match based just on you.
You know what? I've always wanted to do like a clown gimmick. So I think I would like put that in, I would put my clown gimmick into a wrestling match. Because even as like my own gimmick, I always try to do like just funny little things, maybe that, subtly, but I would like to like really put it all out there. Like somebody gets me in an arm wringer and they pull out the scarf or I don't know, just something silly. That's my dream. My goal, my next goal is not WWE, it's doing a clown match.
I think it'd be really cool. I mean, because some clowns can look pretty freaking scary. I mean, like coming out with the clown outfit, taking the little cloth out of you and choking people, and
Yeah.
because we've all seen some clown movies and they can be pretty effing scary. So I like that you actually get a thumbs up because you answered that question just like that. Some guests, oh shit, but if you ever do that, please post it because I would definitely check that out. So a clown
Well,
match.
I will do it. I definitely will because I've been thinking about it forever. Because I like funny, but like hard hitting. And I think I could do that as a clown.
Well, Taryn, as we pretty much get to the end of this awesome episode of Off the Top Rope, most importantly, we all want to know what's up next for you. Who you going to collect taxes from next? What's up next on your busy wrestling schedule?
Well, tomorrow night I'm flying back out to Vancouver to do a really fun show called Glam Slam. It's like a burlesque wrestling show. Again, no gimmicks, like just so I'm doing like a Karen match where I get to gauntlet match my way through all the different levels of management till I reach the head boss. And so yeah, I've got Glam Slam tomorrow. The following weekend, I have Love Pro Wrestling in Edmonton at the Rec Room on March 25th. So that's going to be a fantastic show. Again, great company, great production, amazing wrestlers, like top-notch wrestlers. And then, so that's it for March. And then April got a couple things going on. I think there's like, we'll be doing some RCW shows here in Edmonton, maybe Calgary. Yeah.
That is the most important thing that, like I said, just expanding what you're doing, that resume, just pile up the resume. And you said just fulfilling your passion. And that's what you're doing is just being a really good professional wrestler. And the most important question of all, from 1 to 10, Would you ever come back on Off the Top Rope again?
11.
11. Yeah. So, I get 11, so that really touched me. I get 11, and most
It was
importantly,
so much fun.
I really appreciate it. It was an honor to have you on the show, but most important, safe travels when you fly out to kick some ass. And I'm proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. And
thanks, Ty.
when you get the clown match going, let me know because I will definitely check it out. So, ladies and gentlemen, Taryn from accounting was my live guest tonight from your Nation Extreme Wrestling, WrestleCore. She is just doing everything she possibly can do to be the best wrestler she can. So give her a round of applause because she is doing big things in wrestling. I'm your boy, Ty Asbury. Thank you for watching this live episode of Off the Top Rope. I know everybody wants to hear the end theme with the rap. So thanks for coming to the party. Taryn, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody. St. Patty's Day. Go enjoy your beer, Taryn, too. So, and have one for your boy, Ty Asbury. So, peace out, everybody. Have a great night. God bless. Be safe.
The Ropes Media.